World of Horror was officially released in 2023 on PC by developer Paweł Kominski. It was an 80s-styled adventure game with RPG and roguelike elements and a large dose of horror aesthetics. Paweł made the game almost exclusively by himself over the course of 7 years in his spare time as a dentist, crafting the game's beautiful 1-bit black and white art style in MS Paint frame by painful frame. Paweł is quoted as saying, "My main source of inspiration is the Japanese horror of the 70s and 80s. I love the art of Junji Ito and works of H.P. Lovecraft, and also old systems like the Macintosh 2, PC-88 and PC-98. Like mentioned, the game's story and vibe takes its inspiration from classic literature, with an overall plot mirroring the works of author H.P. Lovecraft, and a vibe and visual style of manga artist Junji Ito of Tomy and Uzumaki fame. I remember watching the Uzumaki movie in the early 2000s and it seriously creeped the hell out of me. The story casts you as an investigator arriving by train in a small Japanese coastal fishing village of Shiakawa in circa 1980s, just based on the technology. The town is slowly descending into madness, with cloaked figures seen all over, all manner of creatures from Japanese horror and folklore appearing, people going missing, and a sense that the end is near, which it is, as in a few days the old gods will arise from their slumber and take over the world once again, unless you can stop them, one mystery at a time."
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Like mentioned earlier, gameplay is a mixture of old school 80s and 90s adventure game elements of investigation, talking to people, gathering clues, plus RPG style mechanics. As you play, your character is upgraded by events or choices, and there are a lot of those, with repercussions that will affect the story later in many ways. Resource management is also key to success, as gathering objects and using aid or items when it's important is key. But how do you know what's important? Well, that's where the roguelike elements come into play. To put it bluntly, you're gonna die a lot in the beginning, at least. But it's not a bad thing at all, as the random nature of the investigations and the fact that items are collected means each playthrough gets easier, and you can really experiment with the many choices in story and see where the mystery goes. You can return to your home base to store or get items, you can change your outfits, replenish energy, and watch TV for clues around the town. But always remember, every action in the game is turn-based and takes a little bit of time. The top of the screen is indicated with the doom meter percentage. Once it reaches 100%, the old gods will be resurrected and it's basically game over. Each playthrough will offer up 5 mysteries to solve, which you can choose at random. Completing all will give you 1 key. After finding all 5 keys are gathered, that'll give you access to the lighthouse to face off against the ancient gods. The 2 major gameplay elements are the turn-based combat, which is pretty typical in traditional RPG style. The more you play this game, the better it gets, as items, new abilities, and even extra teammates are all possible, all determined by a roll of the dice in a sense, as stats decide everything. Choices are also crucial to all gameplay, and sometimes there are no real right or wrong ways, just different ways, making the gameplay very unpredictable and giving each story many different possible endings, as you face off and try to solve mysteries and fight some of Japan's creepiest folklore creatures. Each mystery is randomized internally. Each time you play, you get different events you can go through. Everything you can see is a card. All the items, all the enemies are represented in card form, which form a deck, and you can mix and match them to tailor your own experience in order to make the game harder or easier for you. The graphics in the game are quite simply amazing, all done by Paweł himself, single-handedly. From the menus, which seem purposely convoluted at first, but are not, similar to old PC-88 or 98 Japanese adventures in their monochromatic 1-bit look, perfectly replicating the vibe, and that of Mac 2 games for Western audiences like Deja Vu or The Uninvited. There are also lots of options to mess with the color, aspect ratio, and general options to make the game whatever you like visually, but I'd suggest playing it as default as was originally intended. Every panel and corner of the town feels different and intriguing to investigate because of the pure visual flair, which you can tell years of passion went into to create. I painted it all myself. It was a lot of work, but I wouldn't change it in retrospect, because the limitation of the software is really inspiring. The music score is done in a dark 8-bit chiptune style with modern horror overtones, and blends really well within the game, with pretty minimal sound effects for the most part, as the tunes take center stage. Powell talks about the fun of the game's randomness. Because I see a lot of people enjoying it, so I know it's a good one. It's the one I put the most work into. You can burn the school down early in the game, and if you play this scenario after you burn it down, it's completely different. The Scissor Woman is different, and you get different cards as well. Overall, World of Horror is a highly recommended game for adventure fans or generally anyone interested in this style, but was afraid of the retro interface of the old games. World of Horror is the perfect entry point to delve into the genre, with an ultra cool setting and style by the bucket loads. When asked about future projects, Powell said, "I'm currently designing a horror game that will explore yet another exotic location for the Western player. I personally can't wait for the results."